Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos for today, Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. We have a moderate agenda for this morning. We have 8 items. Item number 1 will be presented by Ethan Wong. Item 2 by Marco Arroyo from the LA Department of Transportation. Item 3 and 4, Lance Thibodeau. Items 5 and 6, Seffi Wiles. Item 7, Ethan Wong. And item 8, Christian Guerrero. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for being here this morning. For Bureau representatives that are on the Zoom application, thank you all for joining us. We have Assad Al-Najjar, Doug Walters, and Craig Shaw. Good morning to you all three. If the board has any questions for your specific bureaus, we will open up those audio lines at that time. For Ethan and Seffi, as Bureau representatives, you're in the room. So any questions, live responses, thank you both again for being here this morning. For members of the public that are listening to us from Zoom, we're just going to do a quick audio check just to make sure we can hear them and vice versa, they can hear us. Mr. Knight, if you can just turn on your, if you can unmute your microphone just to confirm, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I am, Dr. Campos.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and good morning to you. With that, we're going to go ahead and just identify any members of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or click the raise hand icon if you're joining us through the Zoom application. If you are here at City Hall in person, there are speaker cards located towards the back end of the room to the right. You can go ahead and fill out that speaker card and hand that over to me. Again, this is for general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. We do have one caller on the line that has raised their hand. Madeleine, good morning to you. Which item would you like to speak on?
I actually don't want to speak on an item, and I wondered if that was possible. I don't have a lot to say. But
absolutely. We can go ahead and add you to general public comment if that's okay. We should get started in the next minute, and as soon as the board takes public comment, we'll go ahead and add you to that segment.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us this morning. Last call for any other members of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or click the raise hand icon. Seeing no other hands raised, we'll go ahead and test the audio equipment for our commissioners. And commissioners, good morning to you, and thank you all for your patience as we get started a little late, a little behind schedule than normal. We'll go ahead and test the audio equipment for you, and we'll start with President Garcia.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Great. And VP Villegas?
Good morning.
Morning. And Commissioner Corzan?
Good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Davis?
Good morning.
Perfect. And Commissioner Reyes?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Audio equipment is coming through loud and clear. President Garcia, I can go ahead and get started with the audio recording for you.
Yes, please.
President Garcia, you're now in record mode.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum. This morning we have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Corzan and Reyes. President Garcia, you do have a quorum this morning. President Garcia, we do have one caller on the line under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section and no comments on any of the items for today's regular agenda. Again, one person for general public comment.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. We'll take public comment now.
Absolutely. Madeleine, good morning to you.
Sure. Good morning.
The board
and
is now
thank you.
considering general public comment. You'll have 2 minutes to speak under this segment. Please go ahead.
Great. Thank you. And good morning, board. I was encouraged to reach out to the board to provide comment regarding the safety issues in our neighborhood related to the lack of street lighting. So in Leimert Park Village, there are 14 lights out. By the Exposition Crenshaw train, there are 3 lights out east of Crenshaw. For West Side, their entire city block is out. We've been told it's going to take 3 months, 2 to 3 months to replace the lights, and I believe this to be a big public safety issue, especially considering the high number of deaths in under-resourced communities regarding pedestrians and street safety, bicyclists included. So I just wanted to note that that's an extremely long wait to have streetlights replaced. End of comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeleine. President Garcia, that does clear the queue for general public comment, and we can go ahead and close that out if you'd like.
Yes, let's close public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Public comment is now officially closed. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meeting here in person. Hello to everyone that's here. Good to see you all. It's nice and intimate in here, so I always love this chamber. Well, let's get started with today's items. Today, first item of today's business, which is the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, January 11, 2023. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward and forthwith?
Second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by VP Villegas to approve the minutes of Wednesday, January 11, 2023.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Taking us on to item number 1 on today's agenda. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 4. And I believe up to our podium is Mr. Ethan Wong on this one. Good morning, sir. Good to see you again. It's good to see everyone, by the way. I just want to say that. It's good to have you guys here. It's a little hard to see sometimes on this side, but I think we all kind of have our own views here. But I just want to say thank you. I'll read it into the record. If it's okay, I'm just going to read the title, and then you can do the rest of it. It's fairly long, and want to make sure that we capture everything. This is a request in Council District 4 for a budget increase, sole source procurement of process equipment and services, Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant, sodium hypochlorite, did I say that right, Mr. Wong? Hypochlorite
Yes.
facility, relocation CIP 4200. I'll read the first one, which is recommending the board to authorize the city engineer to increase the not-to-exceed amount for the sole source procurement process equipment and services by Rockwell Automation Allen Bradley Local Control Panel, programmable logic controller hardware and services, engineering software development, graphics, installation, loop checks, integration, and distributed control system, functional testing, startup and commissioning, operation and maintenance manuals revision by $50,000 for a total authority of $140,000 for the capital improvement project 4200 Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant sodium hypochlorite facility relocation. And now I'm turning it over to you, Mr. Wong.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ethan Wong. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. So the board report is requesting an increase in sole source authority that was granted in June of 2019. The project before you is for our sodium hypochlorite facility at our Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant. This plant has been in operation since 1976 and is co-owned by the City of Los Angeles and the City of Glendale. So at the plant, there are a variety of treatment processes that happen with the wastewater stream, which ultimately end up in a non-potable reuse recycled water, product water. Part of this process near the end of the treatment is disinfection, also known as chlorination of the water, and then there's a dechlorination step following that, basically disinfecting viruses and bacteria from the water stream. This happens at the sodium hypochlorite facility. Sodium hypochlorite is also commonly known as bleach, and it is added to the water to disinfect it. There are a variety of equipment that we need to sole source for this project to make it a success. We did, as I previously mentioned, receive authority from the board back in 2019. Since that time, with cost escalation happening through and inflation, we've encountered price increases from our sole source vendors. So those are listed through items 1 through 5 on the board report. So starting at the top, which is the Rockwell Automation Allen Bradley Local Control Panel and Programmable Logic Controller hardware and ancillary software and equipment. This is for connection to the city's distributed control system. So this is basically a remote monitoring and control So these devices will ultimately tie into the city's distributed control system so that they're basically networked and can be remotely monitored and operated. So these components from Allen & Bradley allow for that. The sole source is required as for a functionality issue because currently this is the standard throughout the system. And we would potentially have issues if another product was introduced. We are also requesting an increase on 4 prominent chemical metering pumps. So these pumps obviously are used to pump the sodium hypochlorite as needed, and they are sole sourced because they're used throughout the different water reclamation plants, and they're a standard for LA sanitation. The same goes for 2 Evoqua, Wallace, and Tiernan chlorine analyzers, magnetic flow meters. So these are also devices that are used predominantly in this area at the plant. And staff is very accustomed to the maintenance and operations of this equipment. In addition to that, there are 2 Evoqua Water Champ FX chemical induction mixers, similar to the other Evoqua equipment. And finally, the last would be 2 Krone magnetic flow meters. These flow meters are used for partially full pipes. When there's partial flow within a pipe, these magnetic flow meters are known to, they have a history of working very well for the city, and we've used them on a variety of projects as well. That concludes my report for today, and would be happy to answer any questions regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. I thought you guys put complicated words in here so we can get all, strangled up with our tongue, but you got it too, so it's just part of it. Colleagues, any questions on today's item? VP Villegas?
Just a quick question. Thank you, Ethan, for your presentation. Always good to hear your explanation, your thorough explanation. On the LA Glendale Water Reclamation Plant, just the DCS system, do you know if all of these will now be, will sanitation be able to kind of coordinate all the communication between all of our water reclamation plants?
So you mean like communication directly between the 4 plants together?
Yes.
That's a good question. We do have a rep from sanitation that may know more about that. I'm not 100% sure on the answer, so I'm going to invite Richard Sutherland from plant staff to answer that question.
Okay. Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. The answer to your question is it probably won't be coordinated with all 4 plants at this time, but it will help us as we step closer to getting that. So we'll be able to operate it within our control room and monitor it remotely that way. But to to operate it from a remote standpoint outside the plant, not at this time. But again, it gets us closer to that overall objective.
Okay. Thank you. That was it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. That was a very good question. We hope to get there soon. We're all working on that? Okay. Soon this year? Soon?
Not this year. There's multiple projects throughout sanitation to integrate all the plants. So I wouldn't say this year, but maybe within the next 5 years.
All right. We will talk about that. Thank you. Commissioner Reyes?
So my question is on the sole sourcing of the products. I understand the justification why, and it's because they're the only ones who can provide those products that meet our requirements, correct? But on the flip side of that, I'd like to know what we are doing as well, because with sole source is the supplier that calls the shots or the vendor that calls the shots. What are we doing in order to sort of like still be in control, right, of the process and of the prices, the cost, especially because of supply chain issues. You just mentioned there's an increase in costs because of the pandemic and the global supply chain issues. What is our leeway? How do we leverage our, our knowledge about the equipment, the processes that are involved, so that then we don't become hostage or be held hostage to a sole source relationship that may have some drawbacks in the future for our operations?
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner Reyes. So one of the advantages of having these sole source equipment is that we have a very long relationship with most of these vendors. And because we buy a lot of the same equipment and it's used throughout the city in various places, they tend to give us price breaks where they can, and they want to definitely keep that relationship. So they do work with us on pricing. But as you all know, throughout the world, and we're facing a very unique time in cost escalations, especially through our construction industry, and through these equipment vendors have also been feeling that. So we do work with them closely on pricing, and they do give us discounts where they can, and they will work with us on pricing to help us meet our budgets.
And as the technology changes, market forces change as well, are we looking into looking at other sources so that then we have that fluidity and agility to pivot when necessary?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're always looking to pilot new equipment, new technologies throughout the plants. The LA Sanitation and the Bureau of Engineering have a history of doing various pilot projects on various equipment, and that's typically how we establish these sole source relationships, is by doing a pilot with various vendors and whatnot and seeing which equipment works best for our facilities.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Davis?
Yes, to build upon the questions that Commissioner Reyes asked in terms of our exploration and research, we have had this sole source contract for how many years with this particular vendor?
So this is multiple vendors. With Rockwell Automation, the Allen & Bradley, we've we've been using them since we've established this newer distributed control system. I don't know the exact years.
What's the ballpark figure? I'm not looking for any exact, but just conceptually.
Yeah, some of these, so like the prominent ones, the chemical metering pumps, I know there's a longer, maybe like 10 plus years. The Allen Bradley's probably like in that 5-year range, maybe a little longer, but we've been using them quite a bit since there was an upgrade to the system with Honeywell.
Well, good. I think we all recognize and value the long-term relationships and the advantages of that. But I think to the point that Commissioner Reyes has raised, I'm curious in terms of our research, have we had any findings over the last decade that would allow us to have a vision to expand in the future? Have we had any findings that would have allowed us to begin to plan for a vision that would be a little more expansive in terms of our potential to work with maybe other vendors? If that research has led to any findings, what have those findings been?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna actually ask Richard to maybe come back to the podium.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think how I would answer your question is that, the plant is always evaluating the equipment that they use, and we do have vendors come to the plant and give presentations to our various maintenance and operation folks about how their equipment would work and how it could tie into the existing system. And that allows them to evaluate the existing equipment they have and whether or not we might want to explore new equipment as it becomes available in the market. I would say historically, we seem to stick with what we've been using because it's what they're familiar with. And so moving away from that poses some, I'll say, inefficiencies, right, for them to get used to it. But we do always allow the vendor to come, and we welcome that, and we encourage it so that we can learn what will make our plant operate better. So
Have we discovered through our exploration for what's going on out there in cities like ours? I mean, of course, in this country, there are other cities that are as large as we are who have systems similar to ours, even in terms of age. Have we discovered any new technologies being used in other similar organizations as ours that perhaps we might think about incorporating in the future? Have we discovered anything interesting, or are we the leader in this stuff, and that there are no other kinds of discoveries in this work of sewer?
So I think there are definitely things out there that other cities or agencies are doing that we could do. I wouldn't say we're on the forefront of every avenue in the field. We are the leader in some things, and the best way that we learn about that is when we attend conferences for like water reuse or WEFTech, where we get to listen to vendors, but not just vendors, also other agencies, right, from all over the nation or possibly international, and that's where we learn the most. And we come back from those conferences and talk about that, and we start to reach out to those vendors to see if we could implement those technologies into our plant, and then we'll work with the Bureau to maybe do a pilot study to figure out a way that we could do that. So it's always a constant learning process. There's definitely things that we can do to improve in what we do here in the city, but we also, we do lead in some areas. So it's a little bit of everything, I think.
Sure. Well, we would be interested in some of your future discoveries from not only the professional conferences, but from what you're able to obtain from the practice that other cities have said is a success, and how we might expand if possible. And if we don't discover that these strategies would be helpful to us, that's one thing. But if in fact they would, we would love to see that after decades, because you're presenting to us that there have been decades in this relationship. We understand that economically, things begin to cost more. But while things are beginning to cost more, I think what I'm hearing from some of the board members is in terms of our own growth and development, how are we growing and developing in the other areas as far as us maintaining and delivering this service of maintaining our sewers and improving them. We love the sole source contract on one hand. On the other hand, we're curious to see if we can grow and develop in improvements with new technologies on the other hand. So I think that that's a reasonable exploration that we ought to engage in the future, and we would love to see the expansion of not only just staying here long enough for the sole source contract to grow and develop economically and to benefit from it, but to expand as well with new technologies that will help to improve the service that we deliver to the citizens of Los Angeles about how we implement and maintain our sewers moving forward. I think that that is the sentiment of the board.
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions, colleagues? And for the purpose for today, we're here to authorize the 5 recommendation based on inflation, and just a couple of thousands for each and one of them. I think I see like 90 and 40 and then 1,000 and so forth, right? That's what we're here today to do? Correct.
Yeah, so the increases are noted in the recommendations. So $50,000 increase for the the Rockwell Automation Allen and Bradley local control panel, $60,000 for the 4 prominent chemical metering pumps, $40,000 for the 2 Evoqua Wallace and Tierney chlorine analyzer magnetic flow meters, $40,000 for the Evoqua Water Champ FX chemical induction mixers, and $1,000 increase for the 2 Crone magnetic flow meters.
Thank you. I suspect this is happening all around with pretty much every vendor, every type of contract that we have. I've seen it in the city engineer's estimates too as well, so it's expected.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, any other questions, objections, concerns, colleagues? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 1 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Dr. Campos, there's a first by VP Villegas and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong, and I'm looking forward to all these new equipment that you're getting in, and we're excited about it, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, and thank you, Ms., I'm sorry, what was your name, sir, from sanitation?
Richard Sutherland.
Richard.
Sutherland.
Okay, good. Thank you for your time, too. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 2. This is in Council District 1. This is a bid rejection, Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative, Byzantine Latino Quarter, and the Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative in Koreatown. Recommending the board to, 1, reject all bids received for the Los Angeles Neighborhood, Byzantine Latino Quarter, and the Lanny Koreatown projects, and notify all bidders of the board action. And 2, instruct the city engineer to return to the board at a later date to re-advertise this project. And this morning, we have Mr. Marco Arroyo on this item. Good morning, sir.
everybody.
Good to
Good
see you in
morning.
person.
Good to see you too. Okay, so these two projects actually went out to bid in one contract back in June of 2022. We received 5 total bids. The lowest bidder actually came in 121% higher than the city engineer's estimate. Because of that, we've been trying to identify additional funding to cover that shortfall. Unfortunately, we couldn't extend the bid bonds long enough to keep those contractors on hold. So we are looking to reject these bids, and once we've identified the additional funding, we can go ahead and re-advertise. We've actually already put in a request with CTIEP, with CAO's office, to cover the shortfall. So that funding should actually be available fiscal year 23-24, which would be as early as July.
Thank you, Mr. Arroyo. And based on our conversation, city engineer will go out there and reassess, right?
Yes, we would go out and reassess the city engineer's estimate.
Got it. Colleagues, any questions? Vice President Villegas?
Just a quick question. It says here you've notified all the bidders already?
Not yet,
Not yet?
not
Okay.
yet. It's going to be once this is approved.
When did the bidders give their proposals?
In June 29, 2022.
Okay, so it's been at least 6 months?
Yes.
And they've not heard any communication from us? since?
Yes, so the lowest bidder, we extended their bid bond, I believe, to September, and after that, we've notified them that we were going to either try to find additional funding, or we actually hadn't discussed the rejection of the bids until a later
Okay.
time.
And the lowest was Lonnie?
No, Lonnie they were the project managers that did the consulting for this.
Got it.
So the lowest,
Access specific.
Access Pacific.
yes.
Okay, I appreciate it, thank you.
And just for the record, the lowest came in 121% above the city engineer's
Yes.
estimate. Yeah, that's pretty big, yeah.
Yes, that's pretty high.
And the highest was 364%. That's way high. Okay, so I'm glad we're gonna go reassess that situation. And like I said earlier, I'm sure we're gonna see that in many projects as we readjust our figures and the inflation cost. So this is, but looking forward to really improve that area.
Yes.
I don't see any other questions from the commissioners. All right, any objections, concerns? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 2 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, VP Villegas, and thank you, Dr. Davis, for seconding. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
very much.
Looking forward to coming back again for the
Yeah.
bids, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank
So
you.
we'll see you back again this year.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 3. This is a request from the Bureau of Sanitation in Council District 15 for a sole source purchase membrane replacement Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant Advanced Water Purification Facility project. Recommending the board to, 1, approve the selection of Hydronautics Needle Group Company to be the sole source supplier of membrane modules for the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant Advanced Water Purification Facility reverse osmosis membrane replacement. And 2, authorize the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation to request the Department of General Services, as authorized by the city charter, to create a one-time sole source purchase order to purchase from Hydronautics 1386 ESPA 2LD Max Reverse Osmosis elements at a cost not to exceed $1,070,000, including taxes, shipping, handling, and installation. Very well. Thank you, sir. Good morning. How are you doing, Lance?
I'm doing well. Good
Good
morning,
to see you,
President
sir.
Garcia. Good
Welcome.
morning. Good morning, Vice President, Commissioners, board leaders. I'm Lance Thibodeau from the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant. And as the President mentioned, I'm here regarding the board report requesting the sole source of replacement reverse osmosis membranes from Nitto Hydronautics, and then also the approval to proceed with the purchase order not to exceed $1,070,000. Just a little bit of background, as you're aware, at Terminal Island, we treat the wastewater from the southern parts of Los Angeles. We treat it through the Advanced Water Purification Facility, and then that product water is used as a replacement for potable water to recharge a seawater barrier in the harbor area. And so this reverse osmosis is one part of that Advanced Water Purification Facility. And so just a brief timeline with the background is the particular reverse osmosis membranes that we're using now were installed in 2017 when we expanded our AWPF, Advanced Water Purification Facility. And then in 2001, we began the process to replace them. The reasons for replacing are because they've reached the end of their useful life. We monitor different process parameters like pressure, conductivity, and as to be expected, over about 5 to 7 years, we can see a degradation in the quality. So the pressure is increasing, meaning that there's solids or particles that are kind of stuck in the filters. So it takes more pressure to push the water through. The conductivity of the water that comes out is higher, so the treatment isn't as good. And then also, we've exceeded the warranty period of 5 years. So it's kind of like tech support is harder to get through the vendor. And so the reverse osmosis system, it's, as I mentioned, part of the AWPF process. So first there's the microfiltration, which removes the settable solids. Then from there, the water goes to the reverse osmosis to remove any dissolved solids that are still in the water and also to remove viruses. And then after the RO, the water goes for disinfection and then for distribution to the customer. And then just specifically regarding the RO, it's a structure that's like a flat sheet that's wound with this semi-permeable membrane. So with high pressure, the water goes through the membrane, but any of the particles get trapped and then are diverted another route. And then, as mentioned previously, the RO removes the dissolved solids, heavy metals, salts, organics, and viruses. And so this project scope is to replace these Nitto Hydronautics membranes with the same type that we have already on the plant. So this replacement project is to replace the membranes in are ROs, which we call Train C and Train D. RO Trains A and Train B, we replaced with the same membranes in the year 2020, so about a little over 2 years ago. And so we want to match those same type of membranes, so we'll have fewer spare parts in our warehouse, and we have a good track record with this kind of membrane from this manufacturer. In addition, we'd be replacing the rubber gaskets as well, which have worn due to being outside in the marine environment in the harbor area. And just a little more about the reason for sole sourcing. We have a good experience with this kind of membrane. We did, when we acquired this quotation for this, that's led to this board report, we did communicate with other vendors to at least, ensure that the Nitto Hydronautics membranes were within, were competitive from a cost standpoint. So we did that kind of benchmarking. But we selected to continue with the sole source because of our good history. We felt we were getting a cost competitive product, and then also to, as mentioned before, to have some efficiencies as far as spare parts to match our existing system. Yeah, and then just regarding the cost, it would include replacing the 1,386 RO membranes, replacement of the gaskets, which are also called head seals, and then the labor to install them, and then the taxes and the shipping. Yeah, and then as far as timeline, once, hopefully if we will get the board approved, we can continue with finalizing the PO, and then it would just be probably a couple of months until we could have the membranes on site and the vendor having them installed. And that concludes my presentation regarding the board report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Let me look around. I don't see any lights on. Dr. Davis?
I just wanted to ask you, the life of the equipment is usually how many years?
It's usually 5 to 7 years. We've kind of been able to prolong the life where, we're closer to the 7 years because we do have 2 other RO trains. So at this time, we're not using them at 100% capacity, although but we will begin to as we have more customers taking our water in the next couple of years. But to answer your question, 5 to 7 years is the lifespan.
Great, and so we've definitely been able to utilize the quality of the service that the equipment should provide. We've got more than our money's worth at this point in time, obviously. And so I understand the importance of planning and not deferring it so that the system is effective. And so I appreciate your explanation to me about what we are doing here in this motion. So thank you.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thank you.
I don't see any other. Commissioner Reyes?
So one suggestion I have is to be able to leverage our power in this particular effort is to really take a hard look at the supply chain and commit with the vendor a better price moving forward, or a fixed price, or procure in advance, make those commitments so that then we are ensured that that equipment, that particular membrane that we're talking about here is going to be made available to us, because we really want to have that assurance that given the supply chain issues that we're experiencing right now, that specific product or service that they offer is available at any given time, and that we are, ensure that our operations will continue and will not have a pause because of a supply chain, even though they are a sole source.
Okay, great. Thank you for the, great advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, for that. Any other questions, comments, or concerns about this purchase? Hearing none, I know, back to Dr. Davis's point, we're about the 6-year mark on this, so the wear and tear is definitely part of this. So excited that we'll be able to make this change this year. I don't see any other questions, comments, or concern. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 3 forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Is there a second? Dr. Davis, thank you for a second. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Thibodeau. You are good to go. Are you here for the next one, too?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let me get that going then. Moving on to item number 5, this is also in Council District 15 for a sole source purchase replacement boiler burner systems, Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plants, boilers 1 and 2. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the sole source purchase from R.F. McDonald Company of 2 Clever Burks MTHG 105 burner systems, including Hawk 4000 burner controls, associated accessories, and installation for the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plants boilers 1 and 2. And 2, authorize the LA Sanitation and Environment to request the Department of General Services to create and enter into a sole source purchase order with R.F. McDonald Company for procurement and installation for the above referenced Clever Brooks MTHG-105 burner systems with a maximum cost of $783,544, including taxes, shipping, and handling. I like that you put including taxes, shipping, and handling, and because that makes it seem like it's just one whole package. And installation, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Any questions on this one, colleagues? Seeing none. Any comments, concerns, or objections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 4 forward and forthwith? I didn't even let you present. Oh, my God. We were just ready to go.
I don't
Sorry,
mind.
we're taking it back. Come back, and we're all waiting for your
Okay,
presentation.
no problem. Okay, thank you very much again. As the president mentioned, this also is a purchase, a PO with Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant, actually for another part of our plant dealing with the solids handling, specifically the gas handling at Terminal Island. And so, as the president mentioned from the board report, this is a request to sole source with RF McDonald, and for the budget not to exceed $783,544. So what this deals with is the gas handling. So we have our 4 egg-shaped digesters that produce, they collect the solids from the various parts of the treatment process, and the solids are maintained in the digesters at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. This is to achieve what's called thermophilic conditions. And then the byproduct of this is digester gas. It's mostly methane, and it's about 60% methane. So then that gas is moved throughout our process to different storage tanks, and then a compressor where the pressure is increased, and then it's used to feed our boilers. So just like you have a hot water heater at your house, our boilers are essentially very industrial-sized hot water heaters, although they produce steam instead of hot water. And so instead of natural gas, the digester gas is the fuel for these boilers. We make the steam goes and then feeds the digester. So it's all a circular process to reuse the digester gas. And so the issue or the point of this board report is with the boilers, specifically the burners, which are a main component within the boilers. And so we have two boilers, and both of them are old and outdated. When we try to find replacement parts, they're no longer manufactured. When we do find them, they're like reconditioned, and they're not really as good as like something that's brand new. It's just refurbished components. This has made the boiler operation unstable, and we're trying to move forward with this project to avoid like complete failure of our two boilers. And what that would mean is we wouldn't be able to maintain our thermophilic conditions within the digesters, so we wouldn't be able to properly treat the solids that are removed from the various parts of our process. And then this would be a violation of our several of our permits. Our water quality permit, in addition, our air quality permit. So it's important to us that we keep these boilers in good operating condition. In addition, with some of the failing components, the fuel to air ratio, which is important to get like proper combustion of the gas, is kind of like marginal. So this poses a safety concern. So the scope of this project is we would reuse our existing boiler housings, which are fine, so the outer components, but we would replace the inner parts of it. And so the reason this is sole source is because we have Cleaver Brooks boilers, and then RF McDonald is the only distributor of these replacement components. So that's why we're asking to sole source with RF McDonald. And what we would be purchasing is like a complete upgraded internal components, of which there are spare parts available, of which vendors will agree to service. We won't run into the issues that we've been running into the past few years with parts not being available or only being able to buy reconditioned parts, which don't have the same longevity as something that's new. This also would ensure that we can meet our AQMD requirements for properly handling and combusting the digester gas. And this retrofit would work seamlessly with our existing boiler housing. And so the cost for the entire project, as was mentioning, for the new burners, the new controls. So this would consist of instrumentation and also devices so that we can connect this to our existing control system so the operators can see what's going on, remotely when they're in the control room. They can monitor the equipment. It includes the installation. It includes AQMD required source tests when you replace this type of equipment, and then, as was mentioned, the freight and the taxes. And so the dollar amount, again, is $783,544. And then, just again to reiterate, with the reasoning for sole source is our only other choice would be to replace the boilers completely, so of which the cost would be much more than this $783,000. So we're upgrading it with the components that are available for a proper retrofit that would be covered under warranty from the vendor of these parts. Can I answer any questions?
Thank you. How are we going to miss that? The VP Villegas?
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was extremely thorough. Just a quick question. Since this is a sole source, and you is there the amount that we're going to be spending today? Is there a comparable of what the going rate would be for something like this? I realize this is a niche.
It's a good question. I think the best, we've, in the past, when we've replaced components, we've kind of used that, although it's really not kind of exact. But as far as going with other vendors, it wasn't something that it wasn't an exercise that we did because they wouldn't be able to quote this product because it's only one vendor
understand.
who supplies it. So.
Yeah, I understand that. I was just wondering for the amount of money that we're going to be spending and we're just replacing a portion of this, for the boiler burner system is, what is, I was just asking if there's just a this is not the only water reclamation system, obviously. And, there are others throughout, the state. If there is some way where we can compare where we're getting our money's worth for us just to negotiate in the future, that's all.
Yeah, that would be a good thing we could consider, I guess, for next time. Or
Yeah.
So thank you for that advice.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Any other lights? Commissioner Reyes?
So just out of curiosity, since this is going to be a replacement, a new part, I would just like an assurance that in terms of emissions and in terms of sustainability, that we are reducing emissions and that sustainable in the future, that the use of this will last longer, and that we are taking advantage of any advancement that any, in the technology or whatever it is in this field that the vendor can offer. And at the same time, also in terms of training our people, that they fully understand how the system works.
Yeah, those are great points. To the point regarding emissions, I didn't touch upon that, but that's a requirement through this project. With our current boiler, we kind of like are, I would say, borderline as far as meeting the AQMD emissions requirements, and so we know for sure that making this change will give us a much bigger safety margin as far as being within the requirements, and we will be in compliance with, like what happens is the AQMD requirements become more stringent each year, and so we have a lot of cushion with this new equipment to have it be within compliance for many years or even, over a decade. So we have assurance that we're getting the best equipment that would meet performance and also emissions requirements and expectations. Regarding the training, there is a training component that the vendor will do for our staff to familiarize them with this new equipment during the commissioning of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, thank you. You were very thorough, and I really do. We still haven't voted. I just want to say that you were very thorough, and you really were explicit on how this works and where exactly you are interjecting this equipment. So thank you for that. It makes it easier for us to kind of follow you along. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 4 forward and forthwith? Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Is that a die? I'll record that as an aye. Can't hear, microphone's off. Thank you. Commissioner Corzine
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Thibodeau. You are good to go with purchasing our items.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a good rest of the
Thank you.
day. Steffi, were you on this one too? Oh, okay. Oh, you're on the next one. Got it. Moving on to item number 5, this is a joint report with the Bureau of Contract Administration and the Bureau of Engineering for Council District 4. Contract acceptance, Live Oak Drive, 2364 Bulkhead. Recommending the board to, 1, accept this contract. Welcome, Steffi Wiles. Oh, there's 2. Can I read the other one into the record too? Okay. Item number 6 is also a request from Bureau of Contract Administration and the Bureau of Engineering in all council districts for a contract acceptance, emergency sewer storm drain repair, quarterly acceptance report. Recommending the board to, 1, accept the 99 sewer and 12 storm drain projects of the emergency sewer and storm drain repair program as indicated in the attached project summaries table. This morning, we have Ms. Steffi Wiles here. Good morning.
Good morning, President Garcia. Steffi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration, and I'm here recommending the board accept this contract, which was awarded on January 10th, 2022, through the Emergency Geotechnical Structural Construction Services contract on a competitive basis in the amount of $284,480 even to Mladen Buntage Construction Company Incorporated. The contract was executed and its notice to proceed was issued on February 17, 2022 under contract number C133001, and all work was completed on August 18, 2022. The scope of the work consisted of approximately 56 linear feet of bulkhead, which was to support and restore the lateral support of the existing roadway, 56 linear feet of bulkhead, cast-in-place steel beams, and precast concrete lagging. The project, as I said, was awarded for $284,480 even, with a not-to-exceed amount of $294,549 even. There were 2 deduct change orders issued, decreasing the contract amount by $26,495.61, bringing the total cost of this project to $257,984.39. The project was completed at 9.31% below the awarded amount and 12.41% below the not-to-exceed amount. All the final corrections were completed on August 18 of last year. There were no funds disputed or withheld, therefore there are no funds due the contractor. The funds were provided through the SBI Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Fund, number 59V, Department number 50, Appropriation Unit number 50VVGO. The contractor has also complied with all of the EEO and labor compliance requirements of the contract, and due to the emergency nature of this project, there were no MBE or WBE participation levels, and there are no unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with this project. So that's the first one. Moving on to the ESDR quarterly report, we have 99 sewer and 12 storm drain projects that we are recommending to be accepted. The summary table details all of the information on those respective projects. Let's see here. They were completed between August 18, 2018 and July 2022, utilizing 18 of the on-call contractors. Of these 111 construction orders, they were initiated by the Bureau of Sanitation to make the necessary emergency repairs, and the cost and scope of the work ranged from anywhere from $899.05 to over $1,868,679 even. These projects were performed under either a time and material basis or an agreed price basis. There are no funds or disputed issues with respect to any funds due to the contractor, and all of the contractors have complied with the EEO requirements as well as any labor issues. As stated as the other one, this was an emergency nature contract, and therefore there were no specific MBE or WBE participation levels required. There are no unresolved property owners' complaints as well. And that concludes my two reports.
Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Wells. Any questions on items 5 or 6? Vice President Villegas?
I don't have a question, just a comment. I'm so glad that when, we get these requests, for emergencies, we're trusting, obviously, the Bureau to be able to give us all the facts and the information, and then just our contractors as well, just to do the work. I'm glad that they've completed the work and, with nothing outstanding, and that the work was, well done. Dealing with just, these types of projects, it's, on an emergency basis, and we're just, trusting, right, that everything goes through smoothly, and I am heartened by your presentation on these items. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a great crew.
Especially during the last storm we had, there was so much emergency happening that we just got the stats from the bureaus as well, and so this is really important that we're here. Any other questions or comments, colleagues? Seeing none. I also wanted just to make a quick note that on your contract acceptance for Live Oak Drive, you said that we were under budget. We finished it. That's good. Thank you. 9% under budget.
Yes.
It's very good. We were under budget and delivered without any issues?
No issues.
Oh, very nice. Okay. We always like to hear that. Any other questions, comments, or concerns, colleagues, for either items 5 or 6? Hearing none. Any objections? Hearing none. Is there a motion to move items 5 and 6 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move items 5 and 6 forward and forthwith.
Yes, let's start the voting tabulation now for both items. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Again, this is for items 5 and 6. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wiles. Good to see you. Have a good rest of the week. Moving on to item number 7, this is in Council District 11 for construction orders, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Hyperion Incident Recovery Electrical Feeder Replacement Project, CIP 2522. And recommending the board, 1, to authorize the execution of construction order CIP 2522, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Hyperion Incident Recovery Electrical Feeder Replacement to Kiewit Corporation for an amount not to exceed $11,960,000, including contingency. And we have Mr. Wong back up here for this item. You were hiding on this side this time. Welcome back.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, this is Ethan Wong with the Bureau of Engineering's Environmental Engineering Division. The motion before you is to basically award a construction order to Kiewit Corporation for a project at our Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. The Bureau of Engineering manages a pre-qualified on-call contract list for emergency repairs and construction services. There are 8 contractors that are on this list, and the list is used as on a rotational basis. So under the guidelines, the contractors are rotated to the bottom once they have been authorized to perform work or decline a project. So in the case of this project is a result of the spill that occurred at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant on July 11, 2021. After that incident and after the plant was stabilized, maintenance crews discovered sewage in various underground electrical duct banks and vaults throughout the plant. So in January of 2022, through the Hyperion's maintenance contract and through another actual emergency project that we're doing, we found that there were more cables that were saturated with sewage than was originally thought. And Hyperion began to remedy those with their maintenance contract. Fast forward to September of 2022, there was a power failure at the plant, and further discoveries were made that the actual scope of work was above and beyond what the maintenance crews could handle. So emergency project was initiated, Capital Improvement Project 2522, the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Hyperion Incident Recovery Electrical Feeder Replacement Project. And this project was initiated to not only assess the main substation transformers 3, 4, 9, and 10, the load interrupter switches, the grounding equipment, and all of the feeder cables. These feeder cables are extensive and stretch all over the plants. This represents approximately 180,000 feet of electrical feeder cable that was damaged during this incident. That is over 30 miles of feeder cable. So on October 7th, the Bureau of Engineering reached out to Vice President Villegas for emergency approval to bring on the next available contractor, which is Kiewit Corporation. The total value of the work at this moment is a not to exceed of $11,960,000. So we are recommending a construction order be issued to them to continue work on this project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong, for that. I see Vice President Villegas later.
I don't have any questions,
Okay.
sorry.
No problem. Any other questions? I don't have any questions on this. I do just maybe perhaps have a logistical question.
Sure.
Ethan, you have your motion versus a board report. Is there a certain reason why?
So the motions are used for all of our emergency contracts outside of the emergency sewer repair program. So a motion is used in order to expedite the process in lieu of a board report for these emergency projects.
Okay, understood. So this is emergency within an emergency.
Correct.
Got it. All right. Any other questions, colleagues? Vice President Villegas?
Thank you. I'm actually going to make a request of Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Sanitation, and this will just be new. If we could get a report back, perhaps every 6 months, on the status of Hyperion.
Sure. That sounds good.
Thank you. Any objections, colleagues? Hearing none. Dr. Campos, can we put that into the record? We'll get an update biannually.
Absolutely. We'll make that into the record and we'll start coordinating those semi-annual oral reports.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wong. It's just a way to bring you back more often now. Kidding. All right. Any other questions or comments, concerns, colleagues? Seeing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 7 forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's a first by VP Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 7 forward and forthwith.
Yes, let's start the voting tabulation now for item number 7. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. You are out of here before 12 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the week.
You too.
Bye-bye. Moving on to item number 8, this is our oral report and last item on today's agenda. And this morning, we have Mr. Christian Guerrero to update us on sewers, update from the Bureau of Engineering. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So my name is Christian Guerrero, and I'm with the Bureau of Engineering Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. And I'm here today to present on the Bureau of Engineering's Sewer 6 and Sewer 7 semi-annual report. SEWER stands for Super Expedited Wastewater Emergency Rehabilitation for Sewers, and the Sewer 6 contract has recently expired, so that is the reason why I will be reporting on both Sewer 6 and the newly initiated Sewer 7 contract. The Sewer 6 and 7 contracts authorize BOE staff to use the 3 awarded contractors to provide urgent and expedited sewer repair services throughout Los Angeles for typically a 5-year contract term. The contractor has prefixed bid items, and when LA Sanitation sends a request to BOE, The engineer then determines the scope of work that's need to be done, and then the project is assigned to the lowest cost contractor. Projects under these contracts are driven by short implementation schedules, concerns for the public welfare, and unacceptable environmental and social consequences may occur if these are not urgently addressed. So I will be going over the two reports, starting with the Sewer 6 report. And just a quick summary of the Sewer 6 report. The contract term is 5 years. The contract start date was November 3rd, 2017, and the contract expiration date was November 2nd, 2022. There are 3 contractors on the Sewer 6 contract: Matthew and Stewart Company, M&R Construction, and Tomovich and Associates. For the Sewer 6 contract, as of December 31st, 2022, the construction order total issued was 1,183, and the projects completed as of December 31st, 2022 is 1,169. The total construction authority for construction orders issued comes up to $42,796,900. The contract cost ceiling for the Sewer 6 contract was $43 million. The percent amount expended to date then for this contract was 99.5%. So just to reiterate some of the statistics, 1,169 projects were completed under this contract, 14 are currently in construction, and 217 projects were either canceled or transferred. That's for a total of 1,400 projects that came through the Sewer 6 contract for that total of $42,796,900. Moving on to the Sewer 7 contract statistics, as of December 31st, 2022, the contract term is also 5 years. Contract start date for this contract was March 23rd, 2022, and the expiration date is, March 23, 2022, and the contract expiration date is March 22, 2027. The 3 contractors are, again, Matthew and Stewart Company, M&R Construction, and Tomovich and Associates. As of December 31st, 2022, the number of construction orders issued is 180. Projects that have been completed as of that date is 119. And the total construction authority authorized through construction orders is $8,007,087. The contract cost ceiling for this contract is $45 million, and the percent amount expended to date is 18%. So some data statistics: we've completed 119 projects. In construction, we currently have 60 projects. Projects that are pending issuance, we have 46. We have 8 projects that are currently in design. And so far, canceled or transferred or projects on hold, numbers 16. That gives us a total of 313 projects that have so far come through this contract, for a total authorization of $8,007,087. And that's the end of my report, so I'll be happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guerrero, for your report. Any questions, colleagues? I see Vice President Villegas.
Hi, just a quick question, just for clarification, just so I can know a little bit more. You said sewers, under the sewer program number 6, you had a little over 1,000 projects that were completed, and you said that some of them were transferred. What does that mean?
Transferred means that they might have been transferred either to the Sewer 7 contract because by the time scope was determined and design was completed, but we were reaching the budget of the Sewer 6 contract. So in order to complete the project, we could have transferred them over to Sewer 7. They also could have been transferred to the emergency sewer group. So there are certain cases where some projects become more urgent, immediate attention, where there's not enough time to do a thorough design and go through that process. So some of these also do get transferred to the emergency program.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none. I just want to know, I know you said 6 and 7. Do you guys update this every year? And I probably should know this already.
This report?
Yes,
This is the first time I'm doing it, but I believe it's done twice a year.
got it. Okay. So we are in sewers for 2023, we're in sewers number?
Sewers number 7, yes.
Number 7, got it. Okay, just to make sure I know where we're at. Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none. Thank you so much for your report. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again as you update us on the sewers.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, we have now reached the end. Dr. Campos, have we cleared today's desk?
Yes, you have.
Great. It is now Wednesday, January 25th at 11:30, and this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you all.